All right, everybody. Well, listen, welcome to the How to Build a Six-Figure Remote Career in Life Insurance Masterclass. My name is Jeffrey Lipson, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff today, just about how this industry works, how it got started, what the opportunity is. There may be folks in here who have never jumped into any kind of work like this before, and then others who have maybe dabbled in this. So we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, what the opportunity looks like, kind of how we do things, how I do things, and just want to make sure that you all kind of get to know me a little bit as we go through all of this. But what I will say, just like very much up front, is like if you are the kind of the emails, the confirmations, it all said like, you're making a decision that matters. And so the fact that you're taking time out of, your Friday to be in a space where you are learning and educating yourself about the opportunities to be for ways to be able to advance your life and your career is amazing. And so I'm just super, super glad that you are here with all of us. So just to tell you a little bit about me, right? So you know who you're talking to, and as we kind of get to know each other here. So um, I am the owner of Lipson Life Group. We are an agency that is part of the larger Symmetry Financial Group umbrella of agents and agencies all across the country. And we'll talk a little bit more about exactly what Symmetry is and how that came to be. I came into this business less than 2 years ago with zero experience, you guys, zero experience in sales and zero experience in insurance. I had no contacts, no warm market, pretty much still have written virtually nothing on my own warm market. But today I'm leading an amazing group of people that is, as an agency doing over $100,000 a month in annual premium. My best personal month in this business was $55,000 in annual premium submitted. And I come from over a decade in other professional experience. I worked in the technology consulting world prior to starting this business, so I came from other kind of professional experience and background. And we get to, we are brokers. We are not captive. We get to work with some of the best carriers all across the country, and figure out exactly what's going to be the best fit for each one of our clients, and even get to make some and create proprietary products with those folks. I live in South Florida, born and raised here. I moved up and went to school in the Boston area, lived in New York City for a while, traveled a lot earlier in my career. And now I'm down here with our young son and my wife. So this is something that I honestly just wish existed for people and for myself when I was looking to get into this. And so I'm glad that I can make this a resource for people that are thinking about getting into this industry. So how to get the most out of today? Like if you are here, whether you're an agent that has been doing things for a little while, or you are brand new to this industry and just looking to break into it, these are the things that, if you can, that you need to be doing here to get the most out of it. Number one is be camera on. Like you made the time and the investment to be here. As long as you're in a place that is, where it's appropriate to be able to do that, and lean in with intentionality around what you're trying to get out of this. Put the phone away and just lock in. We're only going to take another 44 minutes together because I've got to go run a client appointment after that. And so just lock in with what we have got going on here. And if you've got a you should have pen and paper out. That way, if there's things that you need to be writing down, whether they're little nuggets that you can take away from this or just important pieces of information about this industry, and then stay engaged in the chat. Like we're gonna stay engaged in there. I'm gonna have some questions for all of you, and then definitely want to make sure that there's an opportunity for some Q&A at the end, so that we can go through everything. All right. All right. So a couple of things talking about engagement in the chat. So I would love to understand like who I am talking to in here. There's some faces that I recognize, but there's plenty of others that I don't. So if you can throw in the chat, like what brought you in here today, right? Is it, and you can keep it short, like new opportunity, like a role, learning, growth, like throw in the chat what brought you in here today, what had you attracted to wanting to come spend an hour with all of us in here. Growth, just starting, Sarah. Love it. Opportunity. Yep. Learning and growth. Awesome. Just curious. Yeah. Hey, curiosity is awesome, Janet. Like that curiosity is huge. Um, that was what brought me into this business originally as well. Just pure curiosity about just like what this thing is all about. And then want to learn from, so what industry is anyone currently in, or like what you came, if you're already have been dabbling in insurance, what you were doing before that. So like, where are you right now if you're not in insurance, or if you've been doing insurance, where were you before that? Property and casualty, medical sales, bookkeeper, consultant, nurse. Nurses do so well here. Networking engineer. Yep, I was in tech. Hairstylist. Yep. I know there's another, there, I at least know one other person, no, two at least, that are hairstylists that have done well here. Medical biotech. Yeah. So as you can see, people that come into this business, whether they're in the business now or come, I mean, we come from all backgrounds, you guys, all backgrounds. Like there is an opportunity to be able to succeed here, regardless of wherever it is that you came from. And then like what does success look like for you? Like what do you want to get out of this industry? Is it freedom? Is it just more income? Is it flexibility? Like what is it that has piqued your interest about wanting to, learn more or commit yourself to this space? Stability, freedom, and income, huge. Income, flexibility. Yeah. I mean, freedom, more income. It just seems to be such a common theme, right? Like the freedom and the income, just like that combination of being able to have that trifecta of time, freedom, and money, right? Time, freedom, money. How can we find the balance between all of those things? So I'm a huge believer, obviously, in what this industry can do, and the vehicle that it provides to being able to get there. And so we'll talk a whole lot more about that. Thank you guys for sharing. Seriously, I love knowing who we're talking to. So, so what is the life insurance industry? Right? I mean, like where has it been? How has it grown? Why is it different today? Why are people talking about it now as opposed to not so much maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? So by the numbers, okay? Like these are just statistics. Okay? Annual life insurance industry production, this was in 2024. It's probably only grown since then. $16.2 billion in annual premium production across life insurance. Okay? In force coverage, almost $2 trillion, $1.75 trillion in force coverage in the United States, which means that there are just pending death benefits for $1.75 trillion. There's 54 million Gen Z and millennials that say that they have insufficient life insurance coverage. 54 million Gen Z and millennials. And that's not even talking about some of the older generation that needs help with things. And then obviously the Gen Alphas and the people that are coming in. Okay. And then there's 133 million households. Okay. What is the number one, if someone wants to throw it in the chat, what's the number one largest debt that most people have in the United States? Yeah, their mortgage. Exactly. And what is one of the biggest reasons that someone will put life insurance in place? It's going to be to protect against the debt. This is a never ending need and demand, you guys. Never ending. Okay. It is continuing to grow. And the space itself has evolved like just tremendously. I mean, and this is all like, nothing here is completely set in stone, but generally we're talking about a industry that has just moved from door to door to kind of like being on the phone with people huddled in spaces to this remote revolution. And Symmetry itself has experienced this from going from home to home and sitting at the table, to being a place where we're going through that remote revolution. The whole industry is. And so to that point, right? Life insurance was in such a unique place not so long ago, everyone. Like this was just a few years ago, right? 5, 6 years ago, COVID totally set this industry free. I mean, obviously, there was a whole lot that happened during that period of time in the world, but for this industry, it kind of took the chains off of what this industry was about to become. Because everything else, I mean, I bought car insurance, like online in 2020 and 2019. Like there are other parts of insurance that had already caught up to the digital age. Life insurance had lagged behind. Everything was paper apps, door to door, checks in hand, but COVID changed everything. And so all of a sudden, we couldn't go door to door anymore. All of a sudden, paper applications, we weren't getting wet signatures on those applications. And they had to completely pivot to become digital, to become remote, and to become electronic friendly with an application process, right? And with how we're communicating with the clients over video. So there's no more geography now, right? Before you could only help the people that lived in your 4-hour radius of where you lived, right? Now there is no geography. I help clients in Alaska, right? And where I live in Florida from this very seat. More appointments because now you can work time zones, you can get flexible. Everything is instant. The e-applications, how you get paid, how they pay the carriers, everything is instant and you can work from anywhere. Because even though you can work from the comfort of your office, I could also go, travel, which I am, next month traveling to Asheville, and I'm going to be able to get some work done from there because I've got a North Carolina license and I can do everything remotely from there and still help my clients here in Florida, right? And so it this was unknowingly a precipice into this larger remote revolution of what having a remote sales career could look like. And so what does the opportunity look like today? Today in the life insurance space, like what does that opportunity look like? Everyone thinks, oh, this industry is so saturated. No, it's not saturated, everyone. There are a lot of people, right? A lot of people, and every single person literally needs life insurance. Every single person. Doesn't matter if they are babies all the way up to adults. I have a son who's under 2 and he has a policy. And I have parents that are in their 60s or grandparents and they've got policy. Everyone needs a policy. Now, 37% of Americans say that they need more, right? The conversation that I have all the time, especially with folks that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, is I wish I had more. How do I get more? Because I didn't put enough in when I was younger. And then this industry, because it was so door to door, it was such an old school industry for so long, there were a lot of people that are going to be just retiring out of the business. 400,000 plus people that are just going to be retiring out of this business, agents. And that supply, that distribution, the people that need to serve families, that needs to be replenished. And it's going to be replenished with a younger generation, a digital first generation, and a remote workforce generation. Okay. We talked about the mortgage before as well. I mean, funeral costs as well. Like most people just don't have these funds and they need to get something in place. So whether it's mortgage protection or final expense or we do everything under the sun. The truth is that there has never been a better time to be able to get into this industry because of the need from the side of people who want to buy life insurance and then also from the need of the workforce. I mean, I live in Fort Lauderdale. Spirit Airlines just went out of business. Thousands of people that live and work in my community, because that's where they're headquartered here in Broward County, just out of work. People who were working in tech like I was before I got started, layoffs here, there, everywhere. People who don't want to go back into the office anymore because they got used to a lifestyle, understandably so, of being able to work from home and have that flexibility. But now there's, maybe a push to go back into, there's a demand on both sides for this and just a massive opportunity. So what is the vehicle? Okay. What is the vehicle to be able to take advantage of this opportunity, right? Symmetry Financial Group, and then, Lipson Life Group, which is my agency and the team that I have. So I want to talk about what is Symmetry, right? Symmetry was founded 17 years ago by 4 people, and they've grown that business from 4 people to over 4,000 agents and over 300 contractually independently owned agencies like mine all over the country. And the way that they were able to do that was through a strategic focus on duplicatability. Okay. And so what I mean by that is that their focus from day one was on how do we create a duplicatable system where any person, regardless of of whether they have insurance experience or sales experience or absolutely none of either, which that was me, right? Had none of either, that they can come in and have the systems and the tools and the templates and the technology and the leads and the training and the onboarding and the back office support and everything that you could possibly need to be able to be a successful producer of insurance. And if you so choose, to be able to build your own agency. That was the focus, right? And more than anything, what I have come to realize in talking to so many people from different IMOs now is where Symmetry stands apart from absolutely everyone and everywhere in terms of the vehicle and the model is the combination of this lead system that has been generated and refined and optimized for 17 years in-house along with the ownership opportunity. Nowhere else do those two things exist. And so when I talk about duplicatability, and I'll talk more about leads, but we don't have to go somewhere else to go figure out where we're going to go get our leads, how we're going to be able to fill our demand pipeline for our businesses. Symmetry was one of the pioneers in creating the whole concept of leads for life insurance. 17, 18, 19, 20 years ago, like the concept of leads in life insurance did not exist. And Symmetry were pioneers in creating that. And so they have been building this in-house with corporate resources. $30 million a year last year dumped into lead generation that is exclusively for Symmetry agents. This is just a snapshot of some of the partners that we get to work with, like, high end and like household name type of partners that we get to leverage their products and create proprietary products with them. They are coming to us asking, how can we work with you more because of the quality of business that we are able to write and put in place with them. And so Symmetry, like I said, 17 years, the growth has been undeniable in what started in 2009. And we've essentially seen growth every single year since we've started. And last year did $284 million in annual premium submitted. And when most IMOs and most industries around insurance that were being affected by COVID and this big switch to remote, Symmetry figured it out. I mean, quite literally within a 2-week period of time, the business model that everyone and anyone had been accustomed to for the first 11 years of Symmetry's existence, within a 2-week period of time was completely flipped on its head because leadership of this company took a Titanic and made a 90-degree turn with it, and then led this company into what is now this huge remote revolution and the continued growth that we're now seeing. And so what do you get, right? When you're able to join a place like Symmetry, to plant your flag and to decide, I'm going to build my business here, my book of business or my agency, whatever it is you decide to do, you're going to be able to get carriers. You're going to get access to a lead platform that is, in my humble opinion, second to none in the industry. You get access to all of the whole technology suite and systems and platforms that we get to use across quoting tools, and across like our scripts and across our CRMs and our dialers. I mean, everything that you need is at your fingertips. Training, I'm a big believer that ultimately you train by doing, but the amount of resources that we have from a corporate perspective, right? The beauty is that we get the corporate resources of onboarding and a learning management system with focused coursework. But on top of that, you also get what we do from a day-to-day perspective within, this team and the larger team that we work with every day, every week, from team calls to training opportunities to one-on-one mentorship to being in our virtual office and listening to people live dial or run live appointments. I mean, the opportunities to be able to just dive into training and resources, you could probably get lost for months, to be honest, if you wanted to. So it's about finding the right balance, and that's what we try to help people do. A lot of amazing trips. I mean, people here go on a lot of trips. I know some people in this room that have been on some of them, all across the country, and perks, whether it be, that free life insurance for yourself for a year, or being able to help you find some affordable, market coverage, or our bonus programs. There's so many different things that, we do to try to really enhance that agent experience. So to talk about compensation, right? I mean, that's the ultimately the big thing, right? Compensation and ownership. If people are interested in wanting to get into this space, obviously how you make money for yourself and then how you make sure you own your business, your book of business, and ultimately an agency that you may choose to build down the road is going to be very, very key. This slide represents what basically everyone falls into one of these buckets, right? And most people are going to sit somewhere in that top left, right? The employee bucket. I work for a company, I make a salary, I'm W-2'd, I'm paid for my time, right? I give my time and then I get paid for it on a biweekly basis. What most people then come into an opportunity like this is you start to move into that bottom left quadrant, the self-employed, right? So in top left, you have a job. Now you own your job, but it's still a job because your money is still tied to your time. It's tied to your feet. But you don't work for anyone else. You are self-employed and you're going to truly get out what you put in. And as much time and effort that you want to pour into the thing is how much you're going to get. What we do here at Symmetry is we help be that bridge to get people from self-employment to business ownership if they want to go down that path, right? And the truth is, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to go down that path because life is better when you're a business owner. Where now you don't just own a job, but you own a system. You're being paid for when you work, and you're also being paid for when you don't work. Your time is no longer, your money is no longer just tied to your feet and the amount of time that you're putting in, because now you have leverage. You have a team. You have other people that are producing. You are training and developing other leaders. Does this part make sense to people? Awesome. So how do you get paid? All right. So, hey, this whole thing sounds interesting. I kind of might want to get into the space. I like the fact that it's remote. I like the fact that there's leads. I want to be a business owner. I want to own my own schedule, but how does it actually work? So everybody comes in and starts at that 80% contract level. So what does that mean? Okay. That means that let's just say you sell $1,000 policy. Okay. Which is like $82 or $83 a month would be $1,000 annual premium. Okay. That means that policy, you would make $800 in commission for selling that policy, 80% of 1,000. Okay. And then you have the opportunity to continue moving up to the top of the company up to 130, meaning on that same $1,000 policy, instead of making $800, you'd make $1,300. Okay. This, how you get paid is through the carrier. Okay. So I don't pay you. Symmetry doesn't pay you. You're getting paid direct deposit by the insurance carrier that you used for that particular policy for that particular client. So in that case, again, that $1,000 policy or $800 of commission, you're going to get that $800 of commission. Let's just say you sold it through Mutual of Omaha. Mutual of Omaha direct deposits that money into your bank account within 24 to 48 hours of that policy being put in force. You can get paid 365 days a year in this business if you wanted to. You don't have to wait for biweekly paychecks. You don't have to wonder if someone's holding your money back from you. These carriers, they are happy to pay. They are happy to pay you your commissions. So how do you get paid? A little bit more. So let's talk about an example. Okay. So this is the example of a full-time agent, okay, at the 95% contract level. So if we remember here, we were talking about this. There's the opportunity to get from 80 all the way up to 95, your first 3 promotions in 3 months. It's called a slingshot program. You put a certain amount of premium in place each month and you're able to get from 80 to 85, 85 to 90, 90 to 95. So in this example, let's say, we've got Sarah over here, okay, and she is crushing, and in 3 months got from 80 to the 95% contract level. In just 3 months, she gave herself a 15% raise. Where else can you do that in 3 months in a business that she had no experience in prior? Okay. So she's a full-time agent. She's now at the 95% contract level. She's working 30 to 35 hours a week. Okay. Her average case size is 1,200, which is what we say is kind of like the Symmetry average, which is $100 a month. And she's placing, 15 to 20 policies a month. When you're getting paid by the carriers, they'll give you a 75% advance of your commission, meaning if we go back to that $1,000 example, 80% is 800. Of that 800, the amount of money that you get deposited into your bank account right away is going to be 75% of that 800, which is $600. So right away, you're going to get $600 of that. The other $200 gets paid out to you in months 10, 11, and 12 of that policy being in force. Okay. So let's say Sarah here, full time, 95% contract level. Let's say in a month that she goes and submits 25,000, or she's able to go place $25,000 in premium. Okay. If that's across 20 applications, that is 1250 per app. Okay. So 25,000 at her 95% commission level, that's $23,750 in commission that she will earn over the course of 12 months. 75% of that will get advanced to her times 12. That's $213,750 cash bank account in advances only. That's $285,000 in total first year commissions, including some of the stuff that's coming on the back end. Okay, so if you're a part-time, if you're someone who's thinking about coming to this part-time, you just play with the numbers here a little bit. Slash your hours down to 15 to 20 hours a week, put your contract level at 85, and then see where those numbers take you. We're still talking about, on a part-time basis, $90,000, $100,000, $120,000, $75,000 on a part-time basis. Okay. And then we talk about ownership, right? What is one of the big things that makes Symmetry different? It is going to be the spread. Okay. The spread means once you get to a certain contract level, and if you're building an agency, the people underneath you are going to be at a lesser contract level. Okay. So let's just say if this person here, Jenny's at 105%, what's the spread between 105 and 80? Someone want to throw it in the chat? Someone good at math? Anyone good at math? 25. Yeah, 25%. So 105 minus 80, right, is 25. So there's a 25% spread between the 105 contract level and the 80% contract level. Okay. Now let's just say over the course of all of this that on average, because you can see there's one person here who's at 100%, there's someone at 95, someone else at 90. On average, she has a 15% spread between her and all the rest of her agents. Okay. So if she's doing personal production of $20,000 at her 105% contract level, but then her team is doing 35,000 and she has that 15% spread, right? What does that look like for her? You start to do the math on that. Well, 15% of 35,000, that's $5,250 in passive income that Jenny here is making from her team's production. This is a small team, everyone. This is 6 people. Not a ton of production happening here. And she's taking in over $5,000 in passive income, not to mention at the 20,000 that she's doing herself times 1.05, that's $21,000 in commissions on her own pen and another 5,250. It's 26,000. This example is $26,250 in a month with a team of 6 people and Jenny out here leading from the front. So this is what things can start to look like if you put your head down, you work, you get your contract level up, so you start making really good commission on your own work, and then you start bringing people in and showing them how to duplicate the system, and they start producing. Then you start to experience that passive income. I mean, even if Jenny didn't do anything, she still would have had over $5,000 come into the bank account. So what happens when things start to get big, right? Like you just keep growing the agency, you keep developing leaders, all of that starts happening. So for a $500,000 agency, okay, so $500,000 in a month with a 15% spread. At this point, This person is choosing not to produce in the field anymore. They've probably been in the business for, I mean, let's just say 5 years that they've been growing this business, and they're choosing to not be in the field anymore because they spend all of their time just developing leaders and helping people continue to move along. So what does that actually look like? Sorry. So if we're looking at that, 15% of 500,000 is $75,000. So in this example, which there are a lot of examples of this happening within the Symmetry world, $500,000 on a 15% spread, that's $75,000 a month in passive income because someone built an agency large enough to sustain itself, where this person is now choosing to leverage their time more to coach and develop as opposed to personally produce. Now, there's a lot of people that are at this level that are still personally producing. This example just goes to show what happens from a passive income perspective if you start to grow a team of that size. And so, like, again, high level, what really makes Symmetry different? I talked about this before, but it's that contractual ownership piece where you are able to really have the ability to earn that time and money freedom. And because of that, you can pass that business on. Your business is sellable, it is willable, it is transferable. When you get to that point of ownership, you own your business. And so what you own, you build. Like, your agents are your team. You can pass it on, whether you have a family. I have a young, almost 2-year-old boy. I have the dream of being able to bring him into this business with me, in 16, 18, 20 years when he's ready, and pass that business on down to him. And when he has a family and kids, for that to continue to be a legacy for their family. And that contract is in your name. It is your business and your contract. So how does this actually work, right? I'm fully aware that this is, a whole lot of information and a whole lot of, potentially even pie in the sky of like how this business works. So like, what have we talked about so far? We've talked about what is the life insurance industry? How does it work? Where is it at today? We've talked a little bit about the vehicle of how to take advantage of the opportunity within life insurance, which is the system that Symmetry has been able to build and optimize over the years. But like, how do we actually do it? So I always say that this is a very, very simple business, but it is not an easy business. It's just extremely simple. So you make an investment in your leads, and you decide what that investment is for you, and you work with your coach, your mentor, your upline on what that is, and then your lead comes in, plop, into your CRM, right? Someone, in my case, the types of leads that I work and that my team focuses on is going to be digital leads. That lead plops right into our inbox. That person just minutes ago filled out a form in its entirety, very detailed, about interest in mortgage protection or general life insurance. And they are providing all their information to be contacted so that they can learn more and potentially put something in place. Obviously, a lead is a lead. A lead is not a buyer. So we need to get through those leads and find the people who are the buyers or who are ready to be buyers. But that lead comes in. And so what do? We call them. We text them, and we follow the system that is set forth in front of us so that we are working those leads the appropriate amount of times, that we're not, over dialing them and burning them out, but we're treating them correctly. We're treating them with respect, and we're getting the information that we need. So, okay, we get on the phone. We run the script, you guys. It's not that complicated. You call and you book the appointment. We have a script, the Lipson Life Group script, that is based off of the script that Symmetry has been building for 17 years. You follow the script. When I'm dialing, I still have the script up in front of me, and it works every single time because it's not rocket science. And here's the thing. We are not looking to close the deal or sell someone anything on that first dial unless they're begging us to. I have yet to sell a single policy to anyone the first time that I spoke to them, because that's not the system. That's not how we do it. And there's a variety of different reasons for that, but I come from a consultative background. Symmetry has more of that perspective on things as well. Like we want to create relationships with our clients and we want to make sure that we have built rapport and trust. And so we are going to just collect the information that we need. We're going to book the appointment. We're going to gather what we need so that we can appropriately, run the numbers, go find the best solution, go find the best carrier. And then what are we going to do? Well, the person's going to show up and then we're just going to run the appointment. Okay. Super complicated so far. Lead comes in, you call the lead, they answer, you book the appointment, and now we're sitting in the appointment. Okay. You show up, you're prepared. You have worked on the underwriting practice. You've talked to your coach, your mentor, your upline. You figure out exactly what the best fits are probably going to be for them. And then you sit in the appointment with them and you know what you do? You ask them, why is this important to them? What do they need this to accomplish? What are their goals for the coverage? Get into the why. Understand their needs, right? I mean, you can't go to a car shop and say you've got engine problems and then just ask the person when you roll up, how much is it going to cost to fix it and what are you going to put in my car? They're going to have to look under the hood. They're going to have to ask you some questions. They're going to have to do some diagnostic testing. And it's the same exact thing here. We don't sling quotes. We don't sling insurance. We get to know who our clients are, what their needs are, and then we prescribe a solution for them that is going to help fill that gap and solve that need. And that's what the appointment is. And we just happen, at the end of the day, it just happens to be that the solution that we have is not free. It has a cost to it. And so by the end of that appointment, that's when we let them know, here's how much it's going to cost to solve your problem. And then they say, okay, great. I want to do that one. Okay, well, why do you want to do that one, Janet? Well, because I just think that it's going to be able to give my family the peace of mind and just, they're not going to have to, leave the house and and it's something that's affordable. Perfect, Janet. That makes a ton of sense. Let me just pull up the application and we'll get it going and, just make sure we can get an approval and make sure we can get something in place for you. Pull up the application, run the application. This part is the least complicated part out of everything. You just follow you just follow the form, you fill out the information, you answer the health questions, you hit the submit button. And ideally at the end of the application, because you've done the prep work and you know what type of policy they're going to fit into, that they get approved and they get instantly approved, and you're getting paid into your bank account within 24 to 48 hours. And the client knows that if something happens to them tomorrow, that their family is protected. That is how this business works. I literally had a lead come in on Sunday night. I called her on Monday. We set an appointment up for Tuesday. And then we wrote 2 applications together for nearly $8,000. And she was a $45 lead. And I'm going to get paid $8,000. That was the life cycle of that lead. Now, that's not the life cycle of every lead, and that's obviously not the average. That was an amazing example that quite literally just happened this week. But that's all it takes. And if they don't answer that first time, then you just make sure that they stay in your pipeline and that you stay diligent and you treat yourself like a business so that you can get them on the books so that you can help serve them in some way. That's the whole entire process. From a production perspective, that is as complicated as it gets. Now, some of you who are kind of looking to come into this space for the first time, if you have not been doing this and you are curious, there's real people, real results, and it's not just from me. And I kind of just want you to hear and see a little bit about that. So that it's not just, Jeff just, struck a gold mine or did whatever. So I want to talk to you a little bit about David. David's on this call. Actually, I think all 3 people I'm going to be talking about are on this call. I want to talk to you a little bit about David. David started in this business in February of 2025. So he is about 15, 16 months into his tenure here at Symmetry. He is one of the very highest top producers across our entire master agency. He spent some time in the insurance space, but then came back, and he said, and he'll laugh when I say this, everything he ever hated about insurance, none of that existed here. The running around to different homes, the losing your commission levels that other places had. This guy has had a month where he has written $37,260 from his home in Southern Illinois. $37,260. Would that not make a difference in your life? Even if only 60% of it got issued, would that not make a difference in your life? This is real. This is a real person. He is on the screen here in a real story. Proud of you, buddy. Another person, Alona. Alona has only been in this business since October of 2025. She is in month like 7 or 8. She came from a marketing background. She had never sold anything a day in her life. She had never picked up the phone to, like me, to sell anything a day in her life. In her first month in the business, her first full month in the business, she wrote $12,040. Would that not change your perspective on things? In her first month. And she didn't, all she did was just follow the instructions of what Symmetry has spent 17 years putting together and laying out in front of us, the blueprint that we know works, the duplicatability. Her production, I mean, she just, it was insane. It was insane. And she came out with that and with building and recruiting, and her organization is on fire. She said to me that this is the best thing that she needed that she never knew existed. That is really powerful, in my opinion. And it goes back to the opportunity. Most people just don't even know that they can do this. I didn't even know that I could do this. I stumbled upon this, essentially. I did not know that you can go sit in your home and build a business from home with an investment amount to get going of $0 to start your business, that you can have this kind of impact on yourself and others. And then a last example, Allison. She didn't even know that I was going to do that to her. Allison started in this business a month after Alona. She's only been in this business 6 or 7 months. Her average submit annual premium for the last 3 months is $14,291 a month. So basically, I'm saying that basically, like, after her like first 90-day learning curve, she is on average submitting $14,291 a month now. She has said that this is her last stop and that this is where she is going to retire. She built this from scratch. She had no sales background. She worked in corporate America, and she just came in and trusted me and trusted Symmetry and the process, even though she didn't really even want to in the beginning, and just showed up every single day. And this is what she's able to do. Like, the impact that this business can have for people, if you choose to lean into it, is so significant. It is so powerful. And I just believe so much that there are people that need this. They need the opportunity to be able to be in this kind of environment. They need the opportunity to be able to earn this kind of income because they can, and they can bet on themselves to go out and do it. All three of you guys, Allison, couldn't be happier for you and just more proud of you. And all three of you guys are just absolutely crushing it. So what does the sales process actually look like? I mean, to be honest, I feel like I kind of went into this a little bit, but like, I just want to demystify it a little bit for you. Cause I remember, at least when I was first starting, that there was this element of like, okay, you sell insurance, but like, what does that mean? Like, how does that actually work? What do people say? What do you say? How does that go? Well, okay, this is literally, like what we do. Okay. I get into an appointment. So I've called somebody, all right, and they're like, oh yeah, I did fill out more about that. Great. Let me just get some information from you so I have what I need, and then we'll set an appointment together and it'll be awesome. Okay, great. So we set the appointment. Now we're sitting in the appointment. Well, I'm going to set the agenda for them. I'm going to let them know exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about their health. We're going to talk about their goals. We're going to talk about my role in all of this. And then we're going to talk about some potential solutions that I think can work once we're able to have that conversation together. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure I just confirm all that information with them that we first talked about. And then we're just going to talk about the why, and we're going to get into it. I mean, we're going to get into it. I'm going to ask uncomfortable questions. I'm going to be asking Peggy, so, what happens, if something were to happen to you, what happens with the home? If you're married, can the spouse afford that? Have you guys talked about that before? What the plan would be with the home? Oh yeah, we've talked about it, and it's kind of why we're looking at this, but we've talked about it, and it would be hard. Okay, so hard how? Would the surviving spouse be able to afford the mortgage on their own? Or would it be tight or just totally not doable? Okay. And and I guess, do you have family around? Like, even if you could afford it, would you plan on staying there? Or would you sell it and downsize? Is the house too big? Would you downsize? I mean, we're going to get into it. Okay, this is how we sell. We sell through asking questions. Okay, because the person's either going to tell me one of a few things when it comes to mortgage protection. They're going to tell me either, yeah, I mean, we would not be able to afford the mortgage, and they absolutely need to stay in the home. We've got two young kids. I make all the money. We don't have much in savings, and we absolutely need to make sure that we can keep a roof over the head. Or, yeah, I mean, the honestly, I don't think I would want to stay in this house anymore, because if my spouse is gone, I wouldn't really want to stay in this house, so I'd probably sell it. There's so many different. Okay, well, in one scenario, we better look at a full payoff. In another scenario, we're probably going to look at just some critical period coverage. Now I'm getting into some specifics, but it's only through these conversations that I'm able to decipher and understand what this person actually needs, and then explain to them how I have a specific solution that's going to meet that need. That is all it is. And so I'm just educating. I'm educating them about what I have that can help solve that problem, because we've gotten into it together. And it's only through having that conversation that I can educate them at all or present any options. So I talk a little bit more about me, so that they need to know me, my role, my purpose in this for them. How I want to make sure I'm not overinsuring or underinsuring them, how we need to find the right thing together, and also how we're going to talk through the options, ask the questions, and then ultimately make sure that we are putting an application together, make sure we can get you approved and get some coverage in place, right? That's the whole purpose of why we're here. And then I'm just going to present the options, because at this point, I'm not presenting quotes anymore. I'm presenting solutions. Here's the problem you had. I've thought about a specific way to solve that need, and here's the price attached to it. And here's three options. Which one do you like the most? Which one do you think fits your need the best? Great. Second one, the gold option, because that's what everybody does. Awesome. Let's move forward with that one. Why do you think that one works? Oh, because it fits your budget the best, and you just think it's going to give you the best, amount of time, and just, okay, great. I agree with you. We should absolutely pick that one. There's no need to stretch. Let's apply. Let's pull up the application. Like, that's the whole thing. And that is the conversation that I have, like, multiple times a day, and that a lot of people are having multiple times a day with families to help put something in place for them. That is how this process works. So if you're sitting here, I mean, number one, you came into this meeting, especially if you're like newer and you're not part of the team, and you're thinking about getting into it, or you're at another IMO, or whatever that is for you. If you came in here, it's because there's been a semblance of, like Janet said earlier, curiosity. And so through this whole conversation together, if there is an element of you, like a part of you that's probably sitting somewhere right here, okay, like in your stomach, about this like uncomfortable feeling of like, this sounds like something that I would want to do. I don't know if I should, but I want to be able to talk and learn more. How do I get started? How do I get into this? I'm excited. The first thing that you need to do is you need to set up a one-on-one call with either myself, or can you put in the chat who invited you to this? Whether it was me or possibly someone else that's in here, can you put in the chat who invited you into this? So whoever that person is, you need to be you need to be setting up some one-on-one time with them to figure out if this is the right fit. Like, this call, this webinar, this masterclass is to just like really get the gears moving in your brain. But at the end of the day, this is about the relationship that you have with the person that you would be working and locking arms with. And it's up to both of you to figure out if this is going to be the right fit. So the first thing more than anything is to just set up that time. I am going to put my one-on-one calendar link in the chat here. And if you are someone else who invited folks in here, can you please throw yours in the chat as well? So that way, the big thing that you should be doing here is just immediately throwing 30 minutes on the calendar. Like that is the easiest thing that you can do. Put 30 minutes on the calendar so that you can have a follow-up conversation. And then if you move forward and you decide, hey, you know what? Like I'm ready. I want to do this. And the person that invited you into this is saying, hey, you know what? I want to work with you as well. Like, let's do this thing. This is basically what it looks like. If you are not yet licensed, obviously the number one thing that you need to do is go get licensed. And we help you do that, right? We're going to help hold your hand through that process, make sure you're crossing your T's, dotting your I's, getting you discount codes, doing whatever. There is a cost to being able to do that. Every state's going to be a little bit different. I like to say it's usually in and around $300 between the cost of your courses and applying to the state and fingerprinting and doing all those things. But that is what it takes. And like, if you can be getting this done in 2 weeks, that is because you want to get moving on this. That is the goal. And then once you get licensed, you're immediately able to get contracted in with our carriers. You have to be approved by our home office. And once you do, you're on our platforms, you're getting contracted, you're getting trained. And then we try to do that really quickly. Immerse yourself, collapse that learning curve as quickly as possible for yourself so that you can make your first lead investment and get on the phones and start booking appointments. Because how you learn this business ultimately is you're going to book that appointment and then you're going to go reach out to Alona. And you're say, hey, Alona, I just booked my first appointment. Now what do I do? Okay, great. We're going to set up time. We're going to think about how we prepare for that appointment. We're going to do role play. We're going to do underwriting. We're going to do all of the things to make sure that you're prepped so that you can go run that first appointment. I remember when I was reaching out for help on my first appointment and running that first appointment with a guy named Harry, and he was like a $5 lead. And then we closed that appointment, 77-year-old Harry, trying to put a little bit of protection in place for his wife. We got him like 5 or 6 months of that critical period coverage on his mortgage. And then 3-4 days later, I had nearly $2,000 deposited into my bank account. That was on December 10th of 2025. Sorry, 2024. I will never forget it because at that very moment, I was like, there was a spark that was lit inside of me that I was like, this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's what I want for each one of you that is new to this or just getting started in this, to be able to run that first appointment, close it, get that deposit in your bank account, know that you just developed a beautiful relationship with someone else on the other side of that video call that you're going to have that relationship with for ideally the rest of their lives. And then you're going to go get that deposit and that you're going to feel that spark just the way that I did. So if you're ready to have a serious conversation, you guys, book that time, whether it's with me or with someone else who invited you. Figure out if this is a fit for you. Seriously, whether it's here or elsewhere. I mean, I believe so much in this industry, and it's about finding the right home and the right place for you to plant your flag. And the opportunity here is just so vast. And this vehicle, I came here because I wanted something different for my family and my family's future. I wanted, when my son was my age, to have a business that he was able to run, that he didn't have to worry about what the legacy for his family is going to look like. And this vehicle that Symmetry has created is the most impressive millionaire making vehicle that I have ever seen at scale. Period. Because I truly believe that 100% of people could be millionaires with this vehicle. A very, 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 very small percentage will, because most people are just not willing to put in the work. Guys, this is everything that I've talked about is like awesome. It's hard work. It is hard work. You need to show up every day, whether you're part-time or full-time. Like, you need to show up for yourself and your business. It is hard work, but if you put in that work, which most people won't, but if you are one of the few that will, and you do it long enough and consistently enough, you will start to reap the benefits of what this business and what this vehicle that Symmetry has created has to offer. So book that time. I appreciate all of you guys showing up and being a part of this. And I will answer any questions if any.